Hey, welcome back, peoples. We are going to start on the side front door frames, window, rubber assembly, and there's obviously a little bit of work in them. What I'm doing here, I've actually got the glass, and a little trick that I started mucking around with a while ago was actually using car polish, and I've actually got a cutting compound. This stuff here I've just got off eBay, and it's really good. It's basically what you would use to get rid of 1500 and finer scratches. And what you do is you put a couple of little dollops onto the glass, and it will actually polish up the glass and make it look Mickey Mouse. It takes a while, and you do need a sander polisher to do it. And you've also got to be super careful that it doesn't grab and throw the piece off your table and smash your your glass. So you've got to be careful how you do it, but it does work. Now, a lot of the times you'll get this discoloration just from 60 years of the glass being in along the running felt track inside. This method will actually clean up the glass and get it as good as you can do. It will also get rid of some very fine scratches that are in the actual glass itself. So the first thing obviously to do is give them the best kind of clean you can straight off the bat. This one actually does need a bit of scraping, but we're going to have a go on these two here, which I have cleaned those ones. And I've brought back some splitty glass that literally you would throw away, and it took a good sort of half an hour to polish them up. But you can bring them back. And you wouldn't think, being that it's glass, that it would actually do anything to it, but it does. So we'll get cracking on these. Very, very careful. Like I said, you don't want to put the pad when you are doing this. You definitely want to be very careful when you come to the edges. You don't want to kind of get the pad onto that corner like that where it can just fling the glass off the table. So be mindful, keep it dead flat, and really just work the middle, and just watch your RPMs too. You don't want to go too fast. So I'll just show you how it's all done, and then I'll actually get the frames and we can actually start assembling these. We'll go from there. Alright, so I'll have a look at that. Yeah, she's not bad. There is some actually quite gnarly scratches in this one, unfortunately. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here, clean up these threads. Okay, so here's side frame, and obviously painted up. We're going to start assembling it, putting all the glass and everything in. So there's obviously a little bit to it. Got the little window here to do as well. I'll just get all the parts up here, and then I'm going to show you how to put it all together. Okay, so here's some of the parts that we need to assemble these window frames. So there's a fair bit to it. There's actually a rubber seal here, which this one's the little quarter window, so that's going to go in there, like so, and that is going to be fun putting that in. They give your fingers a test, I tell you. Next we've got this one here, which is the outer seal, so it's kind of just a little, like a T-piece I suppose, and there's a little channel here, and we basically slide him in like that. So we've got that next. Bolt nut kit, just because the other stuff I had was rusted and gone. And then we've got the actual felt, the felt kit. And this one here is actually, you want to get the German quality felts. don't skimp out and get the Brazilian or the other. The quality just isn't any good. So these are the German quality ones. So they're just better. They last longer. They're actually already pre-cut with their, angles, 45-degree angles already on them. So you can't really stuff it up. They obviously go in a certain position, and you can just tell by the quality of the felt. They're a lot better. So we've got those to go in around inside here. Obviously the glass fits in there. Then we've got the side window. There's some gaskets for that, and a lower side latch plate which sits at the bottom. So anyway, there's a little bit to it. A couple other little bits. There's a little retaining ring here. That's for the division bar between. Actually, I need to get that division bar, don't I? Yes, I do, because it's not here. It actually goes on one of the pieces of glass. So let me go and find that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do here is got to put a little bit of contact adhesive inside the channel here. Otherwise our rubbers are not going to stick. And you want to apply it reasonably liberal. Okay, let that dry. Put a little bit on the bottom of here. Try not to get it on your hands because it's sticky stuff. Alright. So, normally leave it for about 10 minutes. Might just pop that on the ground actually. Stay there for a second. Put you down there. And that one's going to go there. Oh, this will come off. If you do get it on the paintwork, it's not a big deal. It does actually just rub off once it dries, and that'll come off. Okay, that's probably enough on there. Yep, that is pretty good. Okay, I'll pop this over here. Now these ones here are probably ready to go, and your test is just touch it, and if it doesn't transfer to your fingers, it's ready to go, and that's perfect. So that's not coming off on my fingers, so this one's ready to rock. Now, flat side and 45, and obviously flat side 45. So that's how you know how they go in. We'll just pop this one up here, sit on the chair, and obviously flush with flush here. Put that in like so. Make sure we're about right. And in she goes. Oh, okay, that doesn't look right. Has it gone past it? Oh no, that is right. So square there, and then you just got to make sure you give it a bit of a pressure to stick it down. I mean, obviously once the glass and everything's inside, it'll all stick and stay in. Okay, that one's done. This one is next. Yeah, that's fine. Beautiful. So that one's done. We're going to put this quarter window gasket in, and this is probably the hardest job out of all of it. So a couple of things you've got to do before you attempt to get it pressed in there. You need to drill out the hole here, which is going to be where the shaft runs through for your little window. And then you also need to cut a little spot there. You can see they've given you the indentation from the factory, and you need to slit that out with a knife, and that is actually going to go over the top of this guy here, so that seals in. So first thing, I just use a little knife like this, and just basically cut that out, which I'll do now. And where are we? There it is. So it's definitely a fiddly job. Take my glasses off because I can't see with them on. And you want to watch you don't cut yourself, but you're basically trying to cut into that little groove there that they give you, and you've got to take that little piece out. And it's definitely a fiddly job. Let me go there. You know, watch you don't cut yourself, obviously. And take that little piece out. I mean, it is rubber, so give it a rip like that. So yeah, there you go. So that's what you're looking for, just a little hole, and that will obviously go over the top of it. Now with these seals, they have you can see an internal, if you look at the profile of that, these are the outer lips, and they're going to go on the outside of your frame, and then these two here go inside there. So you've got to get, it's quite tricky because you've got to press that section there into the channel all the way around, and if you don't get it perfectly in, you're going to have issues later on. So what I use is these guys, which won't obviously mar up your paintwork, and you can just use them to manipulate them getting in. So drilled hole there. This one here, they've actually already trimmed that one for us. That's going to go over the little striker plate thing here. And anyway, so that's ready to go in, and you can spray some silicone spray in there if you're not strong with your fingers and hands. I've actually got them in before just by brute force. So all I like to do first is get the parts in the holes first. So that gets slotted in like so. If we flip this around, you can see there. It's going to be a little bit difficult making sure this is on task here, but you get an idea. So you can see there, I've just got that little guy in to start the ball rolling, and then we're going to come around, and you can see you've got this outer lip. You try and get that outer lip out as much as you can to start with. I mean, it just takes time, and a lot of people say this is one of the hardest things to do on a splitty, and I reckon they're probably not wrong, because it is quite difficult. It's just the way it is, though. You've got to, obviously, I would have hated to have been this dude in the factory. Can you imagine doing this all day long, like putting these things in? They probably would have had a really good technique of how to do it, but yeah, I just definitely don't like wouldn't have been a great thing to do. So then once I've kind of just got it in like this, I'll just peel this little outside lip into position first, just by flicking it with my fingers, like that. And then I'm going to come along, and this is the other thing, make sure you've got some towel down, because you're going to be manoeuvring this around. You don't want to scratch up your paintwork, and then you've got to go back and touch shit up again, so, or parts up. So you can see, just slowly manipulating it into position, like so. And then the tricky part's going to be, we get ourselves one of these little pries, and you come inside and you start pushing with your fingers and getting that internal part to pop in. And I'll just run my finger along like this, like so, lift it up. You can, hopefully you can see that. You can see that internal, there it goes. Popped it in. Sometimes you don't, just with a little bit of pressure from your fingers is enough to to crack it into position like that. Obviously it's going to be a little bit trickier down here because we're gathering up some tension, and then you can pop that in like so. But all the time I've got pressure here with my finger pushing that way, just to make sure that it does pop itself into where it needs to go. So you can see there it hasn't gone in there. So again, I'll put the knife, or the pry bar, whatever you want to call it, in there and pop it in. There we go. Where it gets tricky is this radius here, because you think it's gone in, but it actually hasn't. So you've got to keep looking, peeling it back, looking inside and seeing whether it did actually go home into its spot. And again, this one's not too bad. A lot of the times they really fight you. And I think it will also depend on what quality seal you buy, because there is variants. One of them is a Brazilian one, which I think the rubber personally is not as good. It's not as supple as the German stuff, and they just don't seem to go in as easy. So, you know, spend the extra money. They are more expensive, obviously, the German ones. They're probably half the price, I think, from memory. You can see that corner there hasn't gone in, so we just pry it in. You just got to take your time. You know, it's one of those jobs. Don't get frustrated because, you know, it. And really, what I'm doing is I'm just working on this side. Then we've got to flip it over and do the other side. So that's the other part. So turn it around like so. Get these guys out of the way because we don't want to get paint marring issues. So again, hand underneath, holding some tension on it, and then I can start pushing it in. There we go. So that went in nice then. And then we've got this little slot here, same deal, pop her in and seal on top. This is definitely going a lot nicer than what I've had before. I've had some of them that have just been an absolute battle. You end up with really sore hands at the end of it. But this one's been pretty good so far. But I think having that little bit of extra pressure with your fingers really does help. There we go. Beautiful. That's really quite good. I'm stoked with that because. Yep, so that side's good. So now we're going to just flip her over and we're going to double check the other side. Sometimes the other side will go in, but you can actually see here it hasn't, because this lip here hasn't actually gone around. So it's same deal, hand underneath, add some pressure, and you can see there. There we go. So that has not got it. There's the part there that you've got to get in. So a little bit of force, pop her in with the fingers, and then this obviously wants to come out. Same thing, there it is. Prop her in, like so. And the pesky corner radius, like so. Keeping that pressure on it. And over here. It'll actually click. It'll make a little clicking noise too. You can see all that's out. Hopefully that's picking up on the camera there. Okay. So pop her in. And once it starts going, it'll actually just want to follow itself in. Yeah, so we're really going well. This is actually one of the easiest ones that I've put in. And again, credit to the seals. There we go. And again, pop her in. And I think a little peekaboo there. Yep. Got this little bottom bit there to go. And then the next battle starts. All right. So same thing, pressure. All right, there we go. You can see that hasn't gone in. It's always that corner radius that gives you the grief. So it's really got to get it in. If you don't get this part here, if that doesn't get forced all the way in, you'll have problems with the window opening and shutting. It'll actually bind on here and it won't line up. So just make sure that one is pushed right in, like it's got to engage. Just open the flap, look inside, and make sure that that piece has gone home. Yep, we're all good there. And you can see down here Okay, so we'll get this little quarter window in. And it has to go in like that. Hang on. Always makes like that, and then that's going to rotate inwards. Shut. So that's got to go inside. Okay, like that. And that's how that one sits. That presses up against that. Now, one thing I don't have is the little rivet for here. So I need to actually order that rivet, which you press in, and there's a little fibre washer that runs in between that. And then obviously it pivots, opens like this and shuts. So yeah, unfortunately I can't continue this one, but anyway, just that's pretty much it. And that's how it works. It rotates, that seals against there, that seals on the inside against that one, and that's ready to go. So next point will be the channel, which runs like so, and this is the wrong one because there's got 3 holes here which take the little chrome piece in here. And I can't actually put this in either because I don't have the window little dividing piece of metal that runs on the edge of the glass. So I've got to go and order that as well. So yeah, we'll just have to get back to it. But that's pretty much how to put those seals in. These ones are easy. And anyway, we'll continue very shortly.